Well, welcome, folks, and it's a delight to be able to take this few minutes to introduce our celebration. I'm Rick Emberley and currently chair of the board of the Nova Scotia Nature Trust, and we're delighted to have this opportunity to, frankly, to celebrate. It's been a rough couple of years, as everybody knows, and we just frankly couldn't wait any longer to celebrate, so we're going to do it virtually like so many other things that are going on these days. You know, it's been almost amazing that even during the course of a pandemic that the Nature Trust has been frankly as successful as it's been, and things have been moving along at a pace like we've never experienced in our 25-year history. At the moment, under our control and our stewardship, there's over 150 properties, natural areas, I guess is a better way to describe it, spread across our entire province. And currently it totals over 19,000 acres. And I guess the tremendous successes that we've seen over the last sort of year or two in particular almost defy the pandemic. And we're just so delighted that we're going to be able to share that with you here today. Frankly, we just couldn't wait any longer for the celebration. So, pandemic aside, it's now my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our Executive Director, Bonnie Sutherland, who's going to kick things off and share the stories. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Rick, and welcome to the Nova Scotia Nature Trust Shoutout Showcase. Before we begin, we wish to acknowledge that we are coming together from across Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. We are taking steps to better understand what this territorial acknowledgement and reconciliation truly mean for our organization, for our relationship with the land, and with the Mi'kmaq. We seek to grow our awareness, connection, and collaboration with the Mi'kmaq, including their new land trust, the Cespide Domenech Gamitkanu Conservancy, Welioch. Tonight's celebration is sponsored by our friends at the East Coast Credit Union. Thank you. We are truly grateful for your continued support. And thank you all for joining us. We're here to say thank you and to share with you the exciting and very significant conservation achievements that you have made possible. You are wonderful supporters, landowners, volunteers, and conservation partners. You inspire us with your generosity, your passion, and your dedication to saving nature. For 28 years, the Nature Trust has been protecting Nova Scotia's natural legacy. Together, we are creating a tangible, lasting impact on two of the most urgent crises of our time: unprecedented biodiversity loss and climate change. Tonight, we are celebrating some of the inspiring conservation wins that you have made possible since our last showcase event almost 2 years ago. It's a good news story at a time when we could all use more good news. In the midst of extraordinary personal, social, and economic upheaval, uncertainties, and stress, nature has emerged as a powerful antidote. People have turned to nature for inspiration, rejuvenation, and connection. Nature has nurtured our spirits and reawakened many to just how vital nature is in our daily lives. There's growing recognition, too, that we need to save the wild places around us, not only to protect against climate change and biodiversity loss, but also because we need nature. It keeps us healthy and physically and mentally strong. We've recognized, too, that nature needs us, now more than ever, and we need to act quickly. Shortly before the pandemic began, there was mounting global and national recognition of the scale and urgency of our environmental crises and a global plea for action. The Government of Canada made an encouraging commitment to protect 25% of Canada's lands by 2025, working towards 30% by 2030. To support that commitment, the government made the largest investment in nature conservation in Canadian history, with a $1.3 billion investment, now over $3.6 billion. This created an unprecedented opportunity for us to leverage major funding to save land here in Nova Scotia. So we took a bold step to heed that urgent call to action, to commit to conserve more lands in Nova Scotia and faster than ever before. In September of 2020, we launched the Twice the Wild campaign, an ambitious effort to double our protected spaces for nature in Nova Scotia. In our first 25 years, we protected 15,000 acres. Our goal is to double that to 30,000 acres in just a few short years. Today, we're thrilled to share some of the big wins for Twice the Wild. Our public fundraising campaign goal was $4 million. Through key funding partners, we can leverage 4 times that amount in matching funds for a total of $20 million to save land. I'm so thrilled to announce that in just over 1 year, we've already reached that $4 million milestone. In the midst of a pandemic, that level of support and commitment from all of you to step up for nature so profoundly is just incredible. So moving, inspiring, and so deeply appreciated. Thank you. And we have already been working hard to translate your generosity into on-the-ground conservation wins. Thanks to you, we've built on our landmark conservation projects from the Mabou Highlands to the St. Mary's River. And we've created brand new protected areas all across Nova Scotia. We've saved iconic places like Lowland Cove, Sand Beach, and the Blue Mountain Wilderness Connector. With your support, we've protected more of the most unique, rare, and imperiled wild spaces, saved more refuge for our beloved birds, habitat for species at risk, globally rare gypsum karst landscapes, and some of our last great old-growth forests. We've protected more urban wildlands, wild spaces close to home, for all to access and enjoy. You've helped build links between protected areas, ensuring essential landscape connectivity, and you've helped increase landscape resilience and preserve carbon-rich lands, important nature-based solutions to climate change. In all, you've helped us save 36 new conservation lands, more than 4,400 acres and counting since our last showcase, an unparalleled achievement in our history. So what does Twice the Wild look like? Enjoy a glimpse of special places you've saved. We hope you take great pride and pleasure in these important conservation wins, possible only thanks to you. We're truly grateful for everything that you have done to protect nature in Nova Scotia, and we thank you. Achieving conservation success in Nova Scotia, where so much of our land is privately owned, would absolutely not be possible without willing landowners. We are so grateful to all who have allowed their lands to be dedicated to conservation. In particular, we'd like to honor those landowners who have donated 10 fantastic conservation lands over the last 2 years. What an incredible gift to nature. At a time of unprecedented real estate values and record sales, your generosity is especially notable. We are deeply grateful. And we've asked some of our land donors to share why they chose to make this remarkable gift.
My partner and I, Bill Fenton, owned a piece of land that ended up being one of the last major pieces of the puzzle to bring this protected area together. So, in the end, why not support our Nova Scotia Nature Trust? We did.
My name is Larry Cochran. I live in Liverpool, Nova Scotia. I donated some wetlands out in Pond Hook Lake to the Nova Scotia Nature Trust, primarily because of some endangered plant species that are there, as well as a large wetland that needs to be protected. Pond Hook Lake is one of the largest lake systems in Nova Scotia and has gone under drastic development in the last 10 years. The reason I donated to the Nova Scotia Nature Trust is I felt they're the best organization to protect these lands for future generations. I just want to thank the Nature Trust for all they did to make this project happen.
Nova Scotia Nature Trust brought to our attention that the property we owned in Purcell's Cove is part of a very special jack pine forest ecosystem. When we realized the backlands of Purcell's Cove is the global extent of this unique ecosystem, it seemed appropriate that our property be protected in perpetuity, with the hopes that in the future it becomes a small part of a much larger contiguous piece of protected property.
Our conservation work also depends entirely on generous financial support from our friends and supporters like you. To start, we'd like to highlight a few game-changing supporters: the Government of Canada, through the Canada Nature Fund and the Nature Smart Climate Solutions Fund, and the Nova Scotia Crown Share Land Legacy Trust. They have emboldened us to answer the urgent global call for conservation action, to significantly increase the pace and scale of land conservation. Thanks to their historic investments in nature, we launched our ambitious campaign to save twice the wild. Through their support, we can leverage our $4 million public campaign 4 to 1, creating at least $20 million to save twice the wild. We are also so deeply honored and humbled when the Sobey family stepped forward with a $1 million leadership gift. That gift energized and inspired others, propelling our campaign to rapid success. We are so grateful to the David and Faye Sobey Foundation and to Paul and Marcia Sobey for their extraordinarily generous support. Thank you. Special thanks as well to our champions of the wild, who have made significant multi-year pledges, providing years of flexible support we can rely on. Thank you to our monthly donors, who provide regular support that we can rely on each and every month. We're very grateful to all of our major supporters who have made a special gift to Twice the Wild or to support the ongoing work of the Nature Trust. Thank you also to all of the organizations, businesses, and foundations whose support has been critical in helping us save wild spaces, steward our growing network of conservation lands, and educate and engage Nova Scotians in our conservation mission. Special thanks to the Michelin Corporate Foundation, who chose the Nature Trust and Twice the Wild as one of only 2 projects in North America to advance their environmental goals. And our thanks to TD, whose generous 4-year support is helping connect communities to nature. Thank you to all who have pledged or given a legacy gift through your will, RRSP, a trust, or life insurance. Your plan gifts create a lasting natural legacy for generations to come. And thank you to our many other greatly valued donors, too numerous to name, whose support makes big wins for nature possible. Whether large or small, your grants, gifts, and fundraising efforts made a real and lasting difference to nature and to land conservation. We're delighted now to introduce you to a few of our wonderful donors who have shared their thoughts on saving nature. The financial support that you and all our generous donors provide has been put to work for even more than saving wild spaces. We promise to protect the lands entrusted to our care forever. We commit to ensuring their natural values thrive forever. That's where long-term, diligent monitoring and management of our properties comes in. With over 150 conservation lands all across the province, that number growing every year, and our lands facing increasing pressures and threats, we are working to grow our capacity as trusted stewards of this legacy. Your support is helping to scale up and future-proof our stewardship power. I'm delighted to introduce Joanna Skomorowski, our stewardship coordinator, to share more about the essential stewardship work that your gifts make possible, and to tell you about our dedicated Property Guardian volunteers.
Thanks, Bonnie. Stewardship is about the relationship between the land and the people who care for it. When we say that our mandate is to ensure forever wild, it doesn't mean that we can simply protect a property and then walk away from it. To truly care for a property, we need to know it, its species and habitats, its human visitors, and its history. That means visiting the site, scrambling up and down its slopes, taking photos, paddling its shorelines, and documenting conditions. Once we know it, we can make a plan about what specific actions are required, and that becomes what drives the annual monitoring and management. Fortunately, we don't need to take action on every property under our care, but in many cases, there's garbage to clear, invasive species to remove, boundaries to look after, and paths to maintain. With properties spread across the province, the amount of work and the hands-on effort that is needed for the physical labor of stewardship is huge, which is why our network of volunteer property guardians is absolutely critical to us. They are our eyes and ears and hands on the ground, and these intrepid folks hike, paddle, photograph, cut, prune, hammer, dig, and build for us. Because the number of properties that we steward is rapidly increasing from year to year, we've spent part of this past year researching and implementing new ways to increase our capacity to care for more land in an organized fashion. In 2021, we launched our new stewardship database, Landscape, and in the summer of 2022, our volunteers will also be able to use it for monitoring. Using Landscape allows us to pull all our information together in one place, and it will allow volunteers and staff alike to see previous monitoring reports, stewardship issues, and photos mapped on their device while in the field. The work of our property guardians is instrumental in conservation, and we wanted to provide a special shout out to them.
I'm Peter Himmelman. For a number of years, I've been taking my students backcountry camping to Ketchimakujik National Park. One of the things I've enjoyed showing them is the old-growth hemlock forests. So when I heard about the Nova Scotia Nature Trust's 100 Wild Islands campaign, I became interested in the organization and researched a bit and decided it was something I'd like to volunteer with. And now I'm one of the property guardians at Port Latour Beach.
We were limited in how many property guardians we could take on in 2021, but fortunately, many of our existing property guardians were able to continue with their work, and in fact, we made some great progress even in the midst of lockdowns. We're so thankful for the commitment, time, interest, and hard work of our volunteers. We could not possibly protect these natural spaces without you. And with that, I'll pass it back over to Bonnie.
Thank you, Joanna. And beyond our intrepid property guardians, we have many other volunteers too, who contribute in diverse ways, from raising funds and helping with events to caring for our investments and nature's garden. Thank you for all the time, talent, and energy you give. While the pandemic has curtailed some opportunities, we look forward to more active volunteer days ahead. We acknowledge the resolve and dedication of all who've let us know already that you are ready for action when public health guidelines allow. We have been so impressed with the growing conservation collaborations within Nova Scotia and across the land trust sector, and the synergies and collective impacts that collaboration creates. Our thanks to all of our government, research, conservation, community, land trust, and Mi'kmaq partners. Also a big thank you to our campaign cabinet, a team of devoted volunteers who brought Twice the Wild to life with their own generous support and much appreciated fundraising and friend-raising efforts to reach our $4 million goal. A phenomenal effort, and in the midst of a pandemic. Thank you to the very hardworking volunteers on our board of directors who have provided their guidance and governance through an extraordinary time. And finally, I would like to acknowledge the dedication and talents of our Nature Trust staff, who are the foundation of our achievements. Thank you so much to our amazing staff team. We hope that these conservation wins have left you inspired and proud. You made these achievements possible, and we sincerely thank you. Together, we are making a real and lasting difference for nature and for future generations. We hope you are inspired by each other, the wonderful, generous friends and supporter who make this all possible. Looking ahead, the urgency to save land continues to grow. We need to act quickly to protect our unique biodiversity, to advance nature-based solutions to climate change. And with growing immigration and the real estate explosion, the pressures, competition, and costs for land continue to soar. We are in a race against time. But we have an amazing opportunity ahead to achieve twice the wild and more. We've reached that $4 million milestone, but we're committed to raising even more. And we're committed to putting those funds into immediate conservation action. We will continue the record-breaking pace and scale of land conservation wins, and to continue to build our capacity to steward and protect forever this rapidly expanding network of conservation lands. Nature has given us hope, stability, reprieve, and inspiration, and it's now up to us to pay that forward for generations ahead. We need your continued support, and we need your help to share our story and inspire others to step up for nature too. I'm delighted to introduce two of our greatest ambassadors, building a groundswell of new adventure-loving friends of nature, the dynamic duo of A for Adventure. Jan and Chris have a final special message to share tonight.
Dear Nova Scotia Nature Trust, thank you. Thank you for helping to keep Nova Scotia wild, for being a voice for Mother Nature,
for preserving habitat, for allowing nature to thrive. Thank you for giving us a place to roam, to play, to connect, to heal, and to be in service.
We promise to do our part, to act now so we can preserve nature for future generations.
Thank you for teaching us that we are part of nature. You give us hope. Your work is so vital and building momentum with over 150 properties, 19,000 acres protected and counting.
We smile when we think about what these forests will look like in the future. But we know there's still so much work to do. We owe a huge thank you to those who volunteer, who donate, and help spread the message. A rising tide lifts all boats.
So thank you, Nova Scotia Nature Trust. We are so proud to call you our friends, and we're so grateful that you're helping to keep Nova Scotia wild forever.
On behalf of all of us at the Nature Trust, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all you do for nature as supporters, volunteers, champions, and friends. And thank you again to tonight's sponsor, the East Coast Credit Union. Please take time to connect on social media and visit our website where you can share this event with friends and family, sign up to stay connected on news and events, and discover more about nature, conservation, and how you and others can take action to save the nature you love. And most important, take your vitamin N, nature. Take time to explore and enjoy the wild spaces you are helping to save. Connect, feel joy, and listen to nature's gratitude for all that you do. Willeliok, thank you.